all the places nobody goes. I wanna teach all the things that nobody knows. I wanna grow wings, leave the coop, learn to fly. Bungee jump from the tallest building in Dubai. I wanna fly around town in my UFO. I wanna eat real food, not the GMOs. I wanna make moves, call the shots like the boss. I wanna love like I never lost.
Welcome back to Desertwood Days. I am here with the beautiful Dr. Nadia Brown. Welcome. Hello. You just look so beautiful in that hot pink.
Oh, thank you.
That's one of my favorite colors right there.
Mine too.
You know what? When we see someone, doctor, people automatically think they're a medical doctor.
They do.
When they hear doctor. But she's not a medical doctor. Tell us, before we get to the doctor, I want to know who Nadia was, a little bit about Nadia before she became Dr. Nadia.
Oh my goodness. I actually started out in engineering and IT. So that
that's my field
right.
Too.
So I was one of those people. I literally at one point worked in the basement with the computers. Like that was my life. And even before becoming Dr. Nadia, the premise behind that was actually a promise I made to my grandmother. Like I never said, I want to be that person, but I remember I was 17, getting ready to graduate from high school. And she was like, I want you to promise me that you'll go and get all the colors. And so I always knew that at some point I would do that.
Oh, she did it, Grandma.
I did it.
So what is your doctoral degree in?
Organizational leadership.
Okay. And that's something, you know what? And that is something that we use in all facets of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Being a wife, a mother,
mm-hmm.
businesswoman.
Absolutely. And I wanted to study. So my dissertation was actually on African-American women leaders at HBCUs. Oh. But I was really fascinated with how we as women operated in our leadership, in our different roles in life and in business.
I love that. Because with some of the things that I do, a lot of it deals with women.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is our mindsets.
Oh, yeah.
And the mindsets comes from our upbringing,
mm-hmm.
that we think we can't do something or we can't achieve something or we can't. The word can't.
A lot.
Is in our mindset.
A lot.
Which we need to cut out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As entertainers, we all think we're prepared to make that shift to the next level. I read a piece that you had written stating that even as Dr. Nadia, you weren't where you were supposed to be. Could you tell us how Dr. Nadia shifted into the space that Dr. Nadia deserved to be in?
Oh my gosh. I feel like it's an ongoing journey, but even in the beginning, especially when I decided to leave corporate and start my own business, I think that's when it really started to highlight where I felt that gap. A lot of the can't showed up, right? And I remember starting this business as Dr. Nadia at all these degrees and experience and still feeling like I wasn't enough. Like there was still something else that I needed to obtain, another certification, another something, right? And so it started that journey of really, who is Dr. Nadia and what do you want to achieve in your work? And I think focusing on my big why really helped, but it's a continual journey. It's always something that I feel like we have the opportunity to be critical about. You know how it is, whether it's I need to lose another 10 pounds before I do X, Y, and Z. And so it's just, focus on the women that are missing out because you're hiding. And I think that that's part of what helps fuel my passion, even when the doubts show up, because they do. They continue to show up.
And you know what? I also believe that, what you're saying is that a lot of times when we have these titles or we've done certain things and we're all over social media, people have this perception of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And we start to believe that perception.
Right.
And we think that we have to live up to that perception when we know, I shouldn't really be doing this or I need to be doing this.
Right.
I'm not all of this yet.
Yeah.
But we're trying to pretend or live up to that because that's what the world perceives us as.
And we take on that pressure. So I think especially with social media, so people see you on social media. I remember being at a networking event years ago, and this woman walked up to me and she was like, oh my goodness, everything must be going great in your business. I see you doing this and going here and doing all these things. And I was just thinking to myself, girl, my business behind the scenes is a hot mess,
Yeah.
but it just, and it felt like, am I allowed to be honest about where I
Yeah.
was in that journey as an entrepreneur and a business owner? And so you felt like you're trapped. I'm trapped and
Right.
I have to show that I'm
Because
successful.
you don't want them to see you in a different light.
Right. Because
Right.
then it's like, oh, she really isn't that or whatever. And it's like, oh my goodness. So there is that additional pressure, I think, for us to even pretend like we have it all together when we don't.
And I think we need to stop doing that
We do.
because we need to show people that it's hard work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, I mean, even as an entertainer, it's people, oh, I'm going to be an actor, or I'm going to be a director, or I'm going to be this. They think they can just jump right in, or I'm going to be a videographer or a cinematographer. They think they can just jump into that position
Right.
and not do all these different steps it takes to
It's a
doing
journey.
that. But when we go in there and we pretend we're up here when we're actually right here,
Right.
we're putting that false narrative out there for
Mhm.
them. When you think,
Yep. We're doing everyone a disservice when we don't talk about the highs and the lows.
how long have you are in the sales industry?
I am.
Tell me how that took place.
Oh. Ooh, girl, that's a journey. So I actually ended up in sales, and I say this all the time. I'm the least likely person that would run a sales agency because I hated sales. So I started
I
business.
say that same thing.
Right? I started a business. I hated sales. And I remember people would say, if you're a business owner, you're in the business of sales. And I was like, whatever. I'm a leadership trainer. Like I was not that.
We're all in sales. Even
We
as
all
an
are.
actor,
Mhm.
we're selling ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We're selling our brand. We're promoting ourselves. That's sales.
Yep.
We're all, my camera guy that gives me the finger, he's in sales. I mean,
Yep.
But you got started into sales and go. I interrupted you there.
It's okay. So, through that journey and the highs and lows. So one of the lows in my business was I wasn't making sales. And, it's hard to run a business with no money.
Right.
And so it was like, you know what, Nadia, you have a choice to make. Either you're going to figure this out or just throw in a towel and go back to corporate. And I figured it out. And in 2017, we launched the agency, which with a lot of outside pushing, because I was still very reluctant to talk about sales and my
Right.
journey, but and
Yeah.
also my
Because
passion.
no one wants to hear about sales. That's
No.
why.
And especially we as women don't want to
Yeah.
hear about sales.
You
It's
see
like,
a car
no.
salesman's coming up, you're like, oh no, he's coming my way.
You're behind my face. I don't want to
Yeah.
talk. Yep.
I don't know if you remember that old Levitt store.
No.
The Levitt's, it was a furniture store that used to be here. And they had these aisleways, and you'd be over here looking at the bedroom sets, and you see this guy walking. Each time you walk up, he's walking. I'm like, oh, there's the salesman.
You're like trying to hide from him behind the couch.
Yes. So that's what we think about sales.
Mhm. We do. And a lot of times what I found, especially with women, is that we don't want to ask for the sale. I hear it all the time. I don't care about the money. I didn't start my
Yes.
business for the money.
But you do care about the money.
But you do. Exactly.
But we were saying, as women, we do want the money.
We do.
We need the
We
money.
need the money. Yeah.
So, and that's sales. And you created something. Tell us about what you started new.
So we launched the Dorian Agency. And in that, we work with women business owners to get comfortable with sales, to figure out how to have sales conversations in their own way.
Oh.
So it takes out any of the aggression, any of the manipulation, any of the things that we think we have to do to be effective at sales. We also provide sales support. So there are some business owners where we're like, you know what? You're at a place where you really need to focus on this. So our team is going to come in and we'll do and have those sales conversations on your behalf.
Do you think we need to use a different name other than sales?
We try, right? We try enrollment conversations. We try all these different things, but ultimately
It comes back to sales.
it's about sales. And I think that for me, it was like, you know what? Don't shy away from using sales because it's sales and you need to make sales in order to generate revenue. Like, let's just talk about it. But to also work towards demystifying or changing the narrative around sales. You can be an honorable salesperson, and you don't have to be the stereotype.
When do you think that sales became a negative connotation for women?
I think
because men don't mind sales.
A lot of men don't mind sales.
But women, we just hate it.
I think there are a couple different things that play into that. One, I think most of us, if not all of us, have had a negative sales experience
Mhm.
where we were made to feel a certain way and we walked away from that interaction not
Right.
feeling great. And so when we switch roles, we're like, I don't want
You
people
don't want
to
people to
have that
feel that.
interaction with me. I also think that a lot of the sales training that we've been taught how to, in the ways we've been taught how to sell, don't align with how women actually naturally interact with one another. And so that's another piece. I mean, you're teaching me these things, but they don't
Right.
feel right because it may work for a man, but how we
Right.
interact
It's
is
totally
very
different.
different. And so I teach women to honor who you are
Right.
and you show up in those sales conversations exactly who you are and
Exactly
honor
who
all
you-
those pieces of you.
Right. So tell us about your program.
So one of the programs that we have is called our Convert Lab. And it's really, we're looking at pricing because that's another area where we kind of shy back. Like, can I
Yes.
really charge this?
Yes.
Or, so we talk about that. We talk about
But
offers.
we don't judge when we go grocery shopping
Never.
how much they're charging us for our fruit and
Ever.
vegetables, do we?
Yes. And I bring that up all the time, especially starting out. And then
Yeah.
also when it's time to raise your prices, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, when you go to the grocery store and they raise the price, you may fuss, but you still pay it. You know what I mean? Like, I still buy the bread. I may get home and fuss about, like, I can't believe this bread costs this much. But hey, we need
Right.
the bread. And so I think that, really having that shift in mindset is so key.
And I bring this up, and you'll hear me keep throwing entertainment in here because entertainment is the same thing as sales. You're selling yourself
Mhm.
as an actor or filmmaker, and a lot of times people still have that, even in those fields. What prices do I charge? Or
Mhm.
this is my friend, I shouldn't charge them that much. Well, your friend has a business just like you do.
Exactly.
So they're going to charge you. I mean, we still have that issues in the entertainment industry
Mhm.
as far as sales and our pricings.
And I think one of the harder things is selling yourself. Like you mentioned in
Mhm.
entertainment, you're selling yourself. A lot of times as business owners, especially small business owners, we're selling ourselves.
Right.
And it sometimes feels like it's easier to sell someone else
Mhm.
than it is to sell you
Right.
because now everything, every rejection, every no, every let me think about it,
You
all feels very
internalize.
personal.
Right.
And it's really hard to not take it personal and keep moving in spite of.
Yes. And that's the one thing we have to remember, that you are a business.
Mm-hmm.
That's your brand.
Mm-hmm.
You are. So you also brought your new book.
I did.
Yes. Can we take a look at this?
Sure.
Selling Like a Lady, Courage Diary by Dr. Nadia Brown. This is so beautiful.
Thank you.
Tell
Thank
us a
you.
little bit about Selling Like a Lady.
Well, a couple of things. One, Selling Like a Lady was definitely embodying all the feminine and how we as women interact with each other, relationship, conversation, paying attention to the details. We love that stuff.
Yeah.
And bringing that into the sales process.
Mm-hmm.
But then also the courage part comes from exactly what you're talking about when it comes about selling yourself.
Yes.
It takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there
Right.
and to ask for the sale or present yourself in an entertainment situation. And so I felt like a lot of sales training fell short on that.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much emphasis on get the sale, close the sale, get the
Yes.
sale. But no one rarely, if ever, acknowledged, you know what, Nadia, it took a lot of courage for you to even have the
Yeah.
conversation in the first place.
But doesn't that go back to what we were talking about earlier, as that perception? We're pretending we're here when we're really right here.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the sales, we know we're right here.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want to ask for that price up here because we
Mhm.
know that there's a couple of things we need to do to get up here.
Right.
So
Right.
it's us fooling ourselves.
Right.
And I mean, there's a lot of things going on in our head because of who we are or who we presented ourselves to be.
And I think, the first person you have to sell is yourself.
Yes.
And, there's nothing wrong with being here and knowing that you have aspirations to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, in order to grow your business or your career, you have to, start to act as if on your journey to becoming. I think that, it takes a lot of courage to do that. But you also have to go through that process of how do I, in spite of knowing that I may be at level 5, but I'm
Yes.
attaining to get to level 11. And
Yes.
on that journey, what are the things that I need to do in order to start having those conversations? And with the Courage Diary, it's really about tracking those conversations, because that's what you have most control over is your actions.
Right.
As much as we would like to, we can't control when people say yes.
Sure, that's true.
We cannot control when they say yes.
Yeah.
And then we also added a section around emotions, because the emotions come up. Those, am I good enough? And
Yes.
did I do it right? And I know I'm at a level 5, but I really want to be at the 7, and so not allowing those emotions.
And controlling that is very important, because
It is.
especially if you're in the middle of sale and you're like,
and the voices, that's when they show
Yes.
up. They say, who do you think you are asking for that? Or, commanding this. And it's like, oh, really? You want to show up right now?
And you have, is it a sequel coming to this?
Yeah. So we're actually, quick story about this. The Courage Diary was always designed to go with the actual book that I've been working on. And I had a good friend that was like, Nadia, we need to get this out while you're still working on the book. So in 2022, we'll be making some edits to the Courage Diary. The companion, How to Master Sales with Dignity, Class, and Grace, will also be ready, and they both will be relaunched next year.
Wonderful. Where can our audience find you?
You can find us at our website, the Dorian Agency, and then on most platforms, Facebook, IG, I am Dr. Nadia.
Wonderful. It was such a pleasure having you here today, Dr. Nadia.
Me.
And thank you for joining us here today on Desertwood Days, and we will catch you next time.